everybody. Just a curious question. How many of you actually took a plane to fly to Singapore for, or you're going on holiday soon? Yes! Okay, December holiday is coming up. Great. So the whole point is, after this talk, you're going to see and look at planes totally different. That's kind of what we are focusing on today. So what's our business doing? I'm sure everybody knows that we are in a post-America era where things are going to move very differently, especially when it comes to critical materials, geopolitics and everything. Everybody's talking about supply chain resiliency, localization, especially taking into consideration that some of the key materials around the world, aluminum, carbon fiber, titanium, this is actually limited in terms of there's only a few countries who has it. And they actually controls where it goes to and who actually gets it. So there is a real shift in how supply chain is being currently viewed. And we believe this is not a short-term temporary shift. It's a strategic paradigm shift in how supply chain works. And the funny thing is when you run the business, typically you always are very conscious of the cost of goods sold. But nowadays, when we talk to customers about cost of goods, so it's no longer about price. The first question they ask, how reliable is your supply? Can you get me the supply on this date at this time? Can you really assure that you can actually meet that timeline? It's no longer cheap, you know? So it's a very different paradigm shift in terms of how people look at, especially when it comes to big brand, look at supply chain. They really need reliability, especially when it comes to tariffs. When people suddenly get hits, they don't know what to react. And people are all looking at short-term supply planning, right? So they really need a very clear understanding and secure and skilled materials for at least the next 12, 18, 24 months, right? So they're all looking at very much security versus price. And what does Nandina do? So when we look at me and my other two co-founders, we came from a very diverse background. I was an investment banker. My other two co-founder is a Karina, who is actually with Shell for many years. She's literally she called herself the corporate janitor. So every time there's a spill, she go out and answers for questions. And then our third co-founder is actually Desiree Poir. He has a PhD in material science. So we came together. Very incidentally, it was actually during Ukraine war where there's a shortfall of aluminum because Russia was the biggest exporter, and there's a car manufacturer that approached us, or Karina specifically, to look for secondary aluminum. And then we went on a rabbit hole. I asked my dad what happens to plane when they stop flying. And then we realized after 25 years, when planes stop flying, literally they just park at the boneyards. And there's 8,000 of them parking in the boneyards currently around the world, especially in the US. It's about 5,000. And I'm not sure whether you realize, most of the planes nowadays, they are made of carbon fiber. 53% of the planes is actually made out of carbon fiber because of the light weighting. And because of the fact that they park there after 20 over years, literally the materials, carbon fiber itself is incinerated every year. And our problem statement is how can we change or transform this waste liability into a feedstock security, right? So I'm going to show you a video and it's just pile and pile of them. And when they run out of space, that's what they do. They bring in a crusher to crush everything. So the question that we ask ourselves, right? This is the most highly engineered materials. It's the same material that sent NASA to space. It's exactly the same material. Aluminum, carbon fiber, titanium. And yet this is what they do with it after it's no longer in use. I mean, it's very heartbreaking to see that because it's all very highly engineered materials. So we were thinking, there has to be a better way. There has to be a better way to solving this problem when the rest of the world is running out of critical materials. And how we've done it is we actually created a brand new market. We think from the perspective of these are all highly engineered materials. So we actually look at feedstock from two sources. One is at the factory level, factory waste at the point when it's being manufactured, the fuselage. So the Boeing and the Airbus. I'm not sure whether many people are aware they're actually made in Malaysia. The fuselage is majority for Airbus and Boeing is actually made in Malaysia. So we take on feedstocks from these factories. They can be as much as 12 tons per month. They currently landfill and incinerate. And we also look at end-of-life materials. So we created a brand new market of materials marketplace. And we incorporate a lot of what we learned from the corporate world, rapid production. This is actually from the drones space. So drones development or manufacturing now is all very rapid, very much driven by the Ukraine war. Right, so we looked at it from the perspective of how can we streamline the typical timeline to produce virgin carbon fiber from 6 to 12 months to 2 to 3 months. And then for material innovation, to integrate a material into an intermediary product into a part, how can we streamline it down to 3 to 6 months? So literally we go from material all the way to part. How can we create a shorter life cycle? That's where we created the IP and the patent around this rapid production facility. So we have full traceability. We literally trace from source all the way to how we disassemble and how we actually part it out to become materials and back to supply chain. So we take full accountability, we have full traceability, and we are very mindful about complying to climate regulations. We're also very mindful about complying to bring it back to aerospace as regulated parts. So we work with all our partners. I will share with you who are the partners. So it's a full end-to-end traceability and tracking and tracing. This actually gives what fundamentally a buyer wants, a fully secure and traceable supply chain. So we created a brand new supply chain for carbon fiber. And on top of that, if you realize on the plane, there's a lot of other things. So we literally have to mine everything from the plane, and we have to find different supply chain and a way to reprocess it. So everything on the plane, we literally had to find a supply chain to do it. From aluminum all the way to fabrics, right? So this is what we wanted to highlight, how we do it differently. So we have a patented process. I wanted to show you something physical. This is literally a plain floorboard. See how this is a floorboard. When you go onto a plane, this is what you step into. And this is literally how thin it is and how light it is. You can touch it. Yeah, go ahead. So that you can literally see the kind of engineering that goes into creating plain materials. So the carbon fiber is literally underneath the face sheet. And what's unique about technology is that the common process is to use high heat, 700 over degrees Celsius, to burn off the epoxy that comes with the carbon fiber. But we have our own proprietary technology and solution where we use very low heat and chemical process to actually create very clean fiber. So there's no soot. And because it's so clean and it started off with aerospace, I can bring it back to aerospace. So in a full circular and 70% less energy. This is black gold. This is literally carbon fiber black gold. You can have a look at it. But this is what we recover. Very clean carbon fiber. Carbon fiber is found in everything. If you're playing pickleball, you probably have a carbon fiber pickleball, right? So yeah, but we very much focus on the aerospace grade materials. That's what we mainly focus on, and we are the only company in the world who actually has actually complied to some of the very fundamental requirements in the aerospace industry. So fiber integrity, we can meet up to 91%. Right now. Okay, aviation grade compliance, and we can actually bring a broad-based composite compatibility. So like I say, when we started out this business, we're very clear, no way that we can solve this problem on our own. We went out and created a consortium. So this is a consortium of airlines, tier 2, 3, 4, 5 suppliers. So the whole point is we need to create a whole new supply chain because it's a brand new market that we are creating. The first airline that said yes is Qantas. So any Australians, please fly Qantas. Okay, so we've created ACC as that consortium. We've also created a framework what we call as ACC Roadmap 2050 for all airlines to comply to if they want to really create a circular economy from day one now. So we created that framework and it's actually publicly released. We're covered by Bloomberg, many other news articles. Okay, this is a very key takeaway. I'm a true blue Singaporean. When I was growing up, my mom always tell me, there was a time when Singapore couldn't make it. Remember the song? There was a time when people thought that Singapore can't make it, but we did. So this is literally a homegrown technology. It's a homegrown team. We came from overseas. We were overseas for 15, 20 years, and we all came back to Singapore. And we always think that we have the talent, we have the resource, and we have all the network here, right? So instead of asking who else is doing what we're doing, we spin the question around, what kind of future do we want to create for ourselves and for our kids? And that's how we actually went out and make this business. Very tough. I should have stayed in the investment bank and not be a startup founder. So much easier, my God. But enjoy every single moment, heart, sweat, and blood. But it's been a very enjoyable journey. Thank you for creating time to spend with me. Thank you.